Mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're all well and I hope you're having a great day. We're back on the Racing Green. Before we get into it, I just wanted to say thank you very much. I put a Racing Green video up last week and it's done really well. So all of those people that watched that video, gave it a thumbs up, shared the video, I really do appreciate it. Sometimes it can get frustrating. The work's got to be done, and obviously I film what I do, but when it comes to editing, it does take quite a lot of time sometimes. It can be quite time consuming. And I've been putting videos up lately and they've really not been doing well. So it's a real nice boost when I put the video up on the Racing Green last week and I see within sort of 4 or 5 days it had 4,000 views. Honestly, it does give me a boost, and your comments down the bottom does make a difference. So, as you can see, I've been getting well stuck into the Racing Green. It is currently covered in a layer of rust dust. We've been getting proper stuck in. Before we get in, I've bought some bits this week. So I've got a 1 kilogram tub of seam sealer. I usually buy the U-Pole grey stripe seam sealer, which is absolutely fantastic. However, it's twice the price. So might be false economy. We'll see how we get on with this one. I'll let you know. That's about 13 quid a tin. I've also bought 12 flat discs. So these go in the angle grinder. They are really useful just for cleaning up your welds. If you're not fantastic at welding, that's what flat discs were made for. It's for cleaning it up afterwards. And you can do a bit of prep with the metal beforehand. So they are 115mm, they are 40 grit, and 12 of them, I think again, that was only about 10-12 quid. So they're relatively cheap. And a 250ml bottle of Cure Rust. Cure Rust is really good. I like Cure Rust, get through quite a bit of it. Anyway, stop waffling on, let's get into this week's video. Right, before we get too stuck in, I'm going to protect the floor a bit. Now, the floor is pretty hard wearing. It stands up to most stuff, to be honest. Stuff being dropped on it, etc, axle stands and that. But when I'm welding, you do get burn marks in it, little dimples. So what I'm going to do is just use some wood to lay on the floor to give it a bit of protection this time. Oh, and that's cleaning up where it leaks oil. It leaks oil like no tomorrow, that car, but obviously that'll be sorted out when we do all the engine. So there we go. It's pretty much a footprint of the car covered and a bit more, and it will just protect that floor. Now I can already sense people in the comments going, what a stupid idea, Keith, it's wood, it will catch fire. It's 10mm thick, and if you watch back on my previous videos, there is always I always usually use cut off bits of wood, etc, to put underneath while I'm welding. And yeah, wood is flammable, but the blobs or spits or sparks from a welder is not enough to ignite that. If you put a blowtorch on it and sat there for 5 minutes, then maybe it would do, but we're not going to do that. And I'm sensible.
It's time to start
cutting! Right, so it's time to start. So if you're using this as a bit of a guide of how to remove seals, I've done this a few times before. It's usually removing really rotten seals and overseals, which I think is going to be much easier than doing this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a thin sort of cutting disc on the angle grinder, and we're going to slit all the way along up here, just slightly below the lip. So we go all the way along back there. We'll slit down the side here. You need to slit around to the jacking point. So it's actually strengthened there. It's a bit of strengthening metal, so you need to go through 2 bits of metal. And then usually you just fold the whole lot down and it'll fall off, depending on how rusty your sill is. On this sill, it's not too bad at the back here. It's pretty well on there. So as well as slitting now, I may have to clean it up, find out where the spot welds are and get them out as well. But for the moment, let's slit along there. We'll slit around the jacking point. Don't need to slit much at the front because it's almost falling off. Slit at the back, and then we'll see how easy it is to come off. So let's flip to a bit of time lapse and get this done. Right folks, there's the old sill off. I had to slit it along the top, slit it along the bottom as well so I could get this bit out. But definitely worth replacing. Obviously you can see here where it's had a patch welded on the outside. They haven't cut out the old metal, they've literally just welded a patch over the top of the rust. So yeah, same again here. We all know the right way of doing these things. So yeah, that's the first bit of metal for the scrap heap. So let's go and chuck that on there, and then we'll have a look at the car. And I've got to be honest, it's a lot worse than I thought it would be. See how big that pile gets. Right then peeps, yeah, it's worse. It's worse than I thought it was going to be. But it's a Mini. Why did I expect any difference? What's disappointing is this jacking point here. The jacking point itself is actually fine, but the inner sill behind it is shot to bits. And this is going to be a very similar repair to what I've done on Project Bruce on both sides. You can't really repair this, or not without bodging it anyway. So that means you've got to take the jacking point off to be able to repair this part of the inner sill. I will put the jacking point back on again, so we'll have to get a new jacking point. But to do this repair, you got to take the doorstep out. Well, I had to on Bruce, so it's going to be the same on this. Can't think of a practical way of doing it without taking the doorstep out. And the disappointing thing is, the doorstep is in pretty good condition. Now, I might just replace this centre section because the rest of it is okay. Bit of surface rust there. So I'm not quite sure. Obviously this is all spot welded along here. But yeah, you've got to get this out of the way so you can get to that jacking point to weld it. You've obviously got the cross member in there. So yeah, a bit disappointed with that. At the front here was pretty much as expected. This is being patched from the inside, and again they've not cut it out. As you can see, they've just patched over. And that front there is a mess. This inner hinge panel and the flitch panel that side is going to want replacing. I think the floor pan is going to want replacing. Yeah, that's going to be a mess, that bit at the front there. As you come back, as on, you know, all Minis actually, it gets better the further you go back. I've got a bit at the back here which is inside the door bin. That's going to want repairing. The actual rear slinger bracket's still on there and it's fine. So while we're here at the moment, I have put penetrating oil on the subframe bolts, and we'll make sure they come out in a minute. And I think next step, just to make life easier for myself, so I'm gonna have to get those wheel arches off. I should have done that before, to be honest, front and rear. And I think I'm gonna take the door off. In fact, I might even take that A panel off at the same time. The door will just make it easier because, as I say, I've got to get in here to do some repairs. So yeah, a little bit disappointed. I'm disappointed because of this bit. That's quite a bit more to repair now. But hey, it's a Mini, you know, these things happen, don't they? Right, for the moment then, I'll probably time lapse this. Let's get these wheel arches off. Let's get the door off, and I think that A panel's ready to fall off, to be honest. The wheel arch probably holding it on. Right, so I'm sure you're curious. I've got the wheel off at the back here. It looks pretty solid. Particularly, I mean, they tend to go, sorry for the tapping, they tend to go around the front here. Pretty solid. Closing panel here. It looks like it might have already been repaired. I don't know how though. Yeah, I'll have to do a bit more investigating there. Spax gas shocks on the back. So, yeah, it don't look too bad at the back here. The good bit is round here actually, that rear quarter, that's in good nick, which is nice to know. Right, we're going to attempt to get the subframe bolts out. Now is a very good time to do it while we've got the sill off, so if they snap we can do something about it. I've already applied some penetrating oil, giving it about 10-15 minutes. That felt good. Take it right out and have a quick look. Hey, that's good, that. That's going to come out again, but I think I'm just going to dunk some copper slip on it. Put it back in. Hopefully the bottom one comes out all right. To be honest, like I said, the rear of this seal was in pretty good nick. So you would hope the bolts would come out all right. It's always a bit nerve-wracking though, especially if you're just doing the subframe and you haven't got the rear seal off. So like I say, later on in this build, this rear subframe will be coming out, and obviously all having an overhaul at the back here. That one feels good as well. Copper slip it up, put it back in. So I know now I can do this sill repair, weld the sill completely back on. I ain't got to worry about the bolts breaking. I think while we're here, we just pop the drum off as well quickly, just have a look what's going on inside there. Again, it's just so I know that if I need to order more parts. Slacken off the adjuster a bit. Right, let's have a look what's going on in here. They look like relatively new shoes. Pistons are moving. And there's no leakage behind the sill. So these shoes and cylinders are okay. I haven't got to replace them. Drum looks all right. Again, this will all get overhauled anyway. Right, next up, let's put the wheel back on, get this down, get the front wheel up, and we can get the front arch off. Right then, so door off, none of the bolts broke. Luckily, you'd see I heated them up with the gas, MAP gas. The reason I did try penetrating oil on them, but they're lock nuts, so they've got a nylon, a nylon insert on the nut itself. So I don't think penetrating oil will make much difference because the nylon will sort of seal it up. So bit of heat always gets things off nicely. And then the A panel should not have come off that easily, so I slit up there and it literally just fell off. But I don't know what's going on with this A panel. It's all bent up down the bottom. I think it must have been replaced because that has not been folded properly on the back. Yeah, I think this A panel might have been replaced at some time. So it come off very easily, but the problem is if you look inside here, so we're going to need a flitch panel. I think the hinge panel looks all right, which is this is made of thicker metal, this is, but definitely that flitch panel, yeah, it's shot to bits, so we'll probably cut down here. We'll do this once all the wings off and everything like that, but I don't know whether I've shown inside here yet. So we've got 4-pot calipers on the front. I don't know what make they are, but that's obviously been a bit of an upgrade at some stage. It's also got adjustable tie rods on the front, rose jointed. It's got adjustable camber bottom arms, which are all rose jointed, and it's got gas shocks as well, or gas shocks. Yeah, it's quite a nice little setup, but we will be going back to standard actually. I don't know, but I might keep the brakes, but I definitely won't be having the negative camber bottom arms and rose joints and everything like that, because it just spoils the ride, I think. I'm going to be brave while I'm here, just for YouTube giggles. Let's take off the Let's take off the shock mount and have a look. What do you reckon? Is it going to be rotten as a peach behind it? They usually are, but this car in general, I mean, look at that. It doesn't look too bad. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get in the comments. What do you reckon? Is it going to be a mess behind there? Well, there we go. I gave it a little bit of a poke. It wasn't old, but it is now. Yeah, they're always rotten there. I was kind of hoping that it would be solid, but wishful thinking. It's a Mini, isn't it? Right, I think that might be it for this episode now. I'll get the wheel back on. We'll get it lowered back down. And then next episode we're going to start repairing. Yeah, I think I'll probably start on that jacking point there. So cut that doorstep out. Then we'll be able to cut the jacking point out. We'll be able to then repair the inner sill. Put the doorstep back in. Put the jacking point back in. And then we'll move towards the front now. The front, I'm not looking forward to it. It's going to be nasty. Yeah, is what it is.